All right, hey, welcome back. We are talking to the Buy and Build Advisors team. And what I want to talk about now is due diligence. Due diligence, what is it? Are there different types of due diligence? And why is it important to have somebody else do the due diligence rather than do it yourself? And then how does Buy and Build Advisors take this off the business buyer's plate?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'll jump in first on that one. A fellow business advisor and mentor that Andrew and I had a few years ago used to use the phrase that it's impossible to see the picture from inside the frame. And I think that's the biggest reason why you don't want to do your own due diligence, because you develop tunnel vision. And you start looking for confirmation. You end up with confirmation bias. You're looking for all the things in due diligence that confirm that it's a good deal. Mm-hmm. Our job is to actually do the opposite. Our job is to go looking for all the reasons that the business is not a good deal, and then eliminate those as potential risks. What we're trying to do, think about it as kind of a couple of different things. We're looking for all the skeletons in the closet. We're looking for the monsters under the bed. We're looking for as you're walking, to your car after a downtown theater performance, we're going ahead of you and looking around the corner into the dark alleys and making sure that nobody's going to jump out. That's really what due diligence is about, is making sure that this business, that there aren't any undisclosed or unquantified risks in the business. And we're looking at across multiple areas. We're looking at in the legal side in terms of contractual liabilities, employment practices liabilities, tax liabilities, all kinds of things that involve the legal structure and operations of the business. We're looking at it from the financial perspective. So looking at the numbers and making sure that what's there, what the seller says is there actually is there, and we can validate that across all of the bank statements and credit card statements. We can look at that through the internal P&Ls. We can look at that through the tax returns and make sure all of those things triangulate together. And then lastly, and I'll let Andrew talk about this because it's really his area of expertise, and that is from the operational side and really understanding the operations, the systemization and processes in the business, and right people in the right seats, the team, and is this team structured to successfully grow and scale once the new buyer takes over.
And before you talk about that, Andrew, I mean, that's a lot to focus on all at one time. Mm-hmm. And Carl tells us all the time that you should never do your own due diligence because you're too close to it. And that's where cognitive bias, and we have the ability to have deal heat. And also, I talk about this all the time in my training about the idea of wearing two different pairs of glasses. One of them is the looking to disqualify glasses versus looking to make it work. And I do think it's very important not only to outsource due diligence, but doing it all in one place. There's no communication breakdowns. Imagine somebody's doing the financial due diligence, somebody else is really doing the operational, somebody else is doing the legal. I mean, you have the game of telephone between three different parties, and it can't be super efficient. I've never seen it done correctly.
Yeah.
I think the other thing, though, is when you're looking at this, how many times are you going to do that, right? So if you're buying a business, or you buy two, or you buy three, you've done it 3 times. We're doing it hundreds. So not only do we know what to look for, we know all the questions to ask. We know all of the pitfalls as you're going through this. So we built an exhaustive list based upon the type of acquisition we're doing. Is it a stock purchase? Is it an asset purchase, right? What are all the things that we've got to have in place as we start to do the due diligence, right? All the tax implications and the financial implications, the operational implications. We know what to ask because, like the famous ad, we know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two, right? So we're always asking. We're looking at our list, and and it's hundreds of lines of questions, and based upon the type of deal, we customize that list for that particular business, industry, etc. So as we start to look at when a business comes in and says, hey, we want to look at this, now we've got the best-in-class view because we know those types of questions we've got to ask. Our system automatically pulls those together, and now we start asking. But the thing we do is we ask once, because we can use all of that information, whether it in ops or legal or financial. We're probably asking similar questions that we can leverage that information into other places. Now we're steps ahead. Imagine doing that on your own, right?
Yeah, that's one of the things, just a quick example. On the legal side, I'm asking about what technology platforms the business has because I'm interested in confirming that they have a legal license to use the software and that someone's not going to show up and charge the new business owner tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars for unlicensed technology. But at the same time, Andrew needs to know that information because that involves processes and training. And so we can ask that question one time and we both utilize that same information. Same thing, financial and legal are both looking at tax aspects of the business for different reasons, but we need the same data points. And so by building that comprehensive list and by, as you said, having that team and not playing the game of telephone where we have one source of truth within the platform and we can all refer to that, it makes it much, much more efficient and a much more accurate result for the client.
And then just think, you're going to be asked questions from the bank at some point. The ability that knowledge is already there and we can turn that information around very, very quickly instead of who has that information. And now I'm going to try and find that information in different places and pull that information back. Now the bank is going to be looking at it and go, do they have the information? Do they know what they're doing? We have the data that we can use very, very quickly.
Yeah, I've raised north of $100 million in debt financing. So I know what the bank is looking for. And we've built that experience. As I tell folks, this is not even my second rodeo. And so we've built that process into our due diligence where we're already getting all of probably 98% of the things that your lender will ask for. We've already done that. We need to be a step or two ahead of the financing process. And if we're at that point in due diligence, then there shouldn't be a single question the bank asks that we haven't already asked, and we have all of the source documents available for the bank to do their underwriting.
So due diligence is not really an easy thing to do, especially as an individual. And the idea of trying to find somebody that you can trust to do it, who's not done it once or twice or 3 times because they've closed 3 deals, but someone who's done it hundreds of times. And the wisdom that you all have of what could go wrong, what questions you should have asked last time that bit you in the ass.
Yep.
You have all that put together. So that's due diligence in a nutshell. Thanks so much for sharing that. Now you have a glimpse of what it's like to work with buy and build advisors specifically for the due diligence and kind of what goes throughout that process. See you in the next video.